What's up, interwebs? Welcome to my channel. I'm Tim Green. I write in the pen name TimRG, and you're listening to the Skyler Grant Podcast, where we're going. Me and my buddy Adam of ZOP Gaming.
Hi there.
Hi. That's all you have to say.
Hi.
Go
check out my channel. I got more subscribers than this place, and we do some awesome gaming stuff.
Yeah, that's not gonna make the final cut. Anyway, we're going through the only novel I've ever finished that I pantsed, called Skyler Grant. And it's a very first draft, and Adam's reading it, a chapter each episode. We are currently on chapter what, Adam?
Chapter 20.
We're on chapter 20. So if you have not listened to the other 19 chapters, go listen to them after this one. You'll be completely confused as fuck, but it's okay.
There's an entire playlist.
You can go and listen to and get caught up after this, and then maybe this thing might make sense. Probably not, because we still don't know if it makes sense or not.
Exactly.
Well, Adam doesn't know if it makes sense or not. I do, because I actually went through and finished the book. Yeah, it kind of makes sense.
I haven't read beyond where we are right now.
So what we're going to do here before we get to the reading of the chapter, if you go on to enjoy this episode, why don't you go and hit that like button as a prayer to the holy algorithm.
Holy algorithm.
And, subscribe, because I have writing content on this channel. With that being said, Adam, when you're ready.
I'm ready. Skyler Grant, written by Tim Green, narrated by Adam Daley. Chapter 20. 13 years ago. Knock, knock, knock. John walked to the door, peered through the window to see two men standing outside, all dressed up like in their Sunday's best. Black suits and a white shit and a black tie. One man held a black umbrella over both of them, while one held what looked like a huge folder. John could not help but think they were Jehovah's Witnesses, coming to tell them how they are going to hell unless they join them. He could not just leave and not open the door. One of them noticed him looking through the window. "Mr. Angle," said the one holding the umbrella, "we talked to you over the phone earlier today?" "Oh," said John, quickly dropping the curtain and opening the door. "Sorry about that. You looked like Jehovah's Witnesses." "No problem," said the man holding the folder as he came in. "I am Dr. Letterman, and this is Dr. Jackson." Pleasant to meet you," said John, shaking Dr. Letterman's hand as Dr. Jackson closed the umbrella before entering the house. "Honey, it's the people who called earlier." "I'll be right there," said a woman's voice from deep within the house. "Please come in." John walked past the two men, leading them into the house. Before following, the two men took off their shoes so as to not track the mud on their nice hardwood floors. The three of them walked down a short hall before it opened into a big living room. In the back corner was a small dining table with 4 chairs stained dark brown, including the table. John walked over to a couch and 2 chairs. The 2 doctors sat on the couch while John sat on one of the chair. The room was very spacious. The furniture was spaced evenly through the room. A small coffee table placed a few feet from the couch allowed Dr. Letterman to place the folder on. The walls were painted maroon, with a dark red trim around the edges of the windows and on the base of the floor. A few moments passed when a tall, thin woman with jet black hair entered the room holding a toddler with shoulder-length hair just as black as the woman's. She came over, sat down on the chair next to John. Once seated, she let the young girl on the floor. She quickly ran over to John, who scooped her up into his lap. "This is my wife, Alexia, and this is my daughter, Jenna." "Nice to meet you," said both doctors, standing and extending their arms. Alexia stood and shook both hands before returning to their seats. "Your message a few days ago said that this had to deal with my wife. But today, you said it has to deal with our daughter." John's voice changes a lot, okay? Shut up. Sorry for the confusion, said Dr. Jackson. The best way to rid that is to start from the beginning. You see, roughly 4 years ago, Mrs. Angle had donated blood to a project that was trying to help map out human genes. A rare gene was discovered through the project that only 1/100th of a 1% have in the world. We were surprised by this, said Dr. Letterman. The gene had only been founded in the last 2 generations, most of them in kids who were born in the last 4 years. We began to research and found out later on that you were pregnant when you gave blood, and that is answer in it. The gene was from your daughter, Jenna, while she was still inside the womb. What about this gene makes her special? Said Alexia, looked confused. Is there something wrong with our daughter? No, by no means, said Dr. Jackson. We have been studying this gene for 15 years, when there was only a handful of people. The gene has been slowly moving up in more, so it has only been in the last few years we have made major discoveries. Okay, said John, starting to feel annoyed from the runaround. Get to what this has to do with our daughter. We discovered that the gene is off, but during the time of puberty, this gene can turn on. We learned that when this gene turns on, it has a major effect on the person. What kind of effect? Asked Alexia. You will not believe it. We have heard it a hard time believing it ourselves. Just spit it out already, said John, annoyed. The 2 doctors looked at each other and back at Alexia, John, and Jenna. When active, it gets the person's special abilities. We're not talking about learning things fast. We're talking about superpowers. John could not believe what he just heard. These 2 nuts just wasted his time to tell him and his wife that their daughter might someday have a superpower when she hits puberty. He had it. He set down Jenna, who ran over to some of her toys by the couch. John stood glaring at the 2 doctors. He knew he was done listening. He wanted nothing to do with these 2 fringe scientists trying to prove that superpowers can be real. If you give us only a few more minutes, we promise we can prove this, said Dr. Letterman. Why should I listen to you? This insane to think my daughter will one day have a superpower. We never said that she would, said Dr. Jackson. You said that at puberty, this gene will activate. No, we said that it can activate during puberty. Please, just give us a few more minutes. Honey, said Alexia, looking at John with a calm face, let's at least hear them out. John was not happy about this. He sat back down and crossed his arms and stared at the 2 doctors. They looked at each other, then back at John and Alexia. A few moments went by when Dr. Letterman opened up his folder and pulled a sheet of paper from it, handed it to John. A few moments passed before Dr. Letterman realized he was not going to take it and handed it to his wife, who took it. This talks about the gene. What we know is the gene will not activate on its own. Not yet. And it can only activate during the ages of 11 through 16 for girls and 12 through 18 for boys. What we want to do is to find a way to activate this gene. But to do so, we need more samples. We are going around asking parents of kids who have this gene to give a small sample of their kids' blood. Who in the right mind would ever do that? Asked John. For the advancement of science, said Dr. Jackson. Also, we have no clue when this gene might start activating on its own. Can you imagine what would happen if teenagers started developing powers at some point in their teens? The entail awakening could be devastating to those around them. If we know to activate them, then we could learn how long before they start activating on their own age. At what stage? I think of it this way, Mr. Angle, said Dr. Letterman. We are seeing this gene in a third generation already. For all we know, it could have been present several generations ago and are only discovering it now. Your daughter's generation or her children's generation could be when the gene just starts to activate. Learning about this gene can only help her. John was speechless. He was annoyed and was not happy how these two guests were talking to him. He knew it was a reaction to him questioning their work, and he too would probably react that way if something he spent a lot of time on was being questioned by someone who knew nothing about. He looked at his wife. He looked right into her eyes, dark brown eyes, and knew she was interested in volunteering a sample. He looked back at the doctors before reaching over and taking the sheet of paper from his wife. He glanced down at it before looking back up at the doctors. I can tell you my wife is interested in this. I am not. I would like to know a little more before I let anyone stick anything into my daughter. 2 years later. Bang! 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 John snapped back to life. He looked around the living room and the television was on, CNN covering some major earthquake that happened somewhere in the world. Bang! 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 John pushed the recliner and stood up. Wand looked down the hall. Someone was standing outside the door and apparently was trying to break down the door. The banging came again, and John rushed down the hall, peered through the window. Outside stood a short, olive-colored man with dark black hair, wearing a long, dark trench coat. Mr. Engel, said Jing, I know you're in there. Please open the door. It is a matter of life and death for your daughter. John opened the door, and Jing pushed right past him, entering the house. He walked down the hair and disappeared into the living room, all before John knew what was going on. John ran down the hall, entered the living room to see Jing looking around. What the hell do you think you're doing bargaining in my house? Who the hell are you? My name is Jing, and I here to warn you. The men you have been working with giving samples of your daughter's blood are planning to take her. What? Said John, confused. How did this guy know he and his wife had been working with Dr. Jackson and Dr. Letterman? They had to sign non-disclosure papers and told no one of what was going on. This guy knew somehow. But why did he think they were coming to take his daughter? How do you... I used to work for Drs. Jackson and Letterman, interrupted Jing. They have discovered this gene, that your daughter is different than the others. They know it is very likely that the people of this generation will be able to activate it. They have been funding the research that has decided it is not worth letting these children free. They want the control of them, have access to them whenever they want. You've got to be kidding me, said John. Tell me that you never had a bad feeling in the past 2 years working with these people. If you haven't, I'll leave. But if you have, you need to trust that feeling, because your daughter is going to be taken from you. 2 hours later, John came walking down the stairs with 2 suitcases, looking like they were about to explode. He set them down in the living room before walking into the kitchen. Honey? Said Alexia at the end of the hall. John walked out of the kitchen into the living room. Alexia stood at the entrance holding Jenna. They had just come back from visiting her parents. Alexia set Jenna down. She ran over to John and wrapped her arms around his legs. John bent over, scooped her up into his arms, and gave her a kiss. Honey. Why is the car in the driveway? Asked Alexia. We need to leave, said John, putting Jenna down. What do you mean, leave? They're coming for her. Who is coming for her? The scientists who we have been working with. I know. They're not coming to just get a sample of Jenna's blood. I was warned that they are coming to take her away from us. Alexia didn't say anything. She looked at him weird. John knew she was trying to tell if he was playing a joke. Where did he hear that? A man who used to work with them showed up here about 2 hours ago, warning me. If we didn't leave tonight, we would never see Jenna again. That is not true. I just talked to them on the way home. Do you really think they're going to tell you what they are planning? Yes. They told me that they want Jenna to be nearby and are offering us a nice home. Jenna will be close by when they can look after her. John was speechless. His own wife was okay with these men studying their daughter like she was some science experiment. Are you nuts? No way we are accepting that. I already did. They are going to be here tomorrow to help us move. John could not believe that this was the woman he married. They had to have done something to her, because Alexia Becker, Angle, he married, would not allow for this. That is why we are leaving tonight. No, we need to do this for Jenna. What happens when she hits puberty and some kind of power shows up? What do you want to tell her, that we could have helped her, but you just got scared? John knew that this was not going to end well. His wife was against him, meaning if he tried to leave, she would inform them. She looked at his Jenna in his arms, the 5-year-old bundle of joy who he loved so much. She had fallen asleep while he held her, even with this intense argument. He looked back at Alexia, who was not happy with him. I am not letting them take her without know more about it, said John. This is why they came to meet about it. However, Dr. Jackson said he would be more than willing to go over what they plan to do when they arrive. Honey, we need to take the money they are offering us. We would never have to work again. We could give Jenna a life that most children never get to have. I am not saying I agree until I hear more about it. Fine, said Alexia, who turned and walked into the kitchen. Next morning. Vim. John reached over to pick up his phone that he forgot he had on vibrate. He quickly reached over to the passenger seat, picked it up, looked at the screen to see Alexia's name on it. He took a deep breath and flipped the phone open. Hello? Where the hell are you? Shouted Alexia. Somewhere you will never find Jenna, said John, looking in the back seat of the car. Jenna passed out in her car seat. Do you really think I was going to let those men study our daughter? Think about the money! No! Shouted John, waking Jenna in the back. That is all you have been thinking about since we started working with them. Since then, you have changed, always willing to do whatever these men want, and I have had it. You have gone behind my back, lying to me over the 2 years about what was going on. Then you agreed to move us so they can have limitless access to her. I'm sorry. You will never see her again. Not as long as you are willing to sacrifice Jenna so you can have the money you never had growing up. That's a heavy ending right there.
Yeah. So, Adam, I think we need to tackle the biggest thing here that the fans have been listening to this entire time,
yes,
waiting for to finally be revealed. And it was revealed in this episode, this chapter. We finally know John and Jenna's last name.
Angle.
Yep. We finally know it. You're welcome. You finally got the answer you've been
out
asking.
there, finally.
Yep. That's the first thing I like. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about that. We finally...
Oh, there are so many bad sentences in here.
Oh yeah, there are so many.
It was a little tough to read. I had to slow down.
Oh yeah, you did.
Also, I had to on the spot create an accent for the two doctors who sound exactly the same. Which just makes it even creepier.
Halfway through, you changed them up.
A little bit, but they still have a very similar accent.
But you made them different.
Just enough.
But yeah.
I still love John's accent.
Also in here, we finally meet Jenna's mom.
Yes.
And the idiot that she is.
At least she doesn't ever end every sentence with a question mark.
That's true.
She's still, just like Jenna, soft-spoken.
Yes. But, and also, I wrote down here a question.
Yeah?
Does Jenna actually have black hair? Cause I don't remember
that. In my head, she was blonde.
I can't remember if she actually, in the
original she could be dyed blonde.
Can you check the book to see?
No, not checking it. No,
I can't check
Continuity be damned.
Because I'm curious. Like, I don't think I described her with dark hair.
No, I don't think
black hair.
But I don't think you've described her with hair so far.
Maybe not. I thought maybe I did, but I don't know. But that was like dark black hair, like her mom. Like, did I describe her with dark hair?
Maybe she grew out of it.
Black hair.
Dad has been dyeing her hair blonde this entire time. Which is weird because black hair doesn't dye to blonde at all.
Well, you kind of can, but you gotta bleach it.
You're gonna bleach the hell out of it,
and then dye it. And then if you're lucky, if you know someone who knows what they're doing,
yes,
you can get blonde hair.
But this is John we're talking about.
But this is also just in your head and what you think he's been doing.
John's trying to dye his 5-year-old daughter's hair. Honey, stop moving so much. I'm gonna get some of the bleach in your face. Oh wait, no, he became Macho. He needed to change up his accent while hiding. He became Macho Man Randy John. Randy Angle.
Wow, yeah. So, but then you have detecting a gene in Jenna, but through Alexia's blood.
But through mom's blood.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep. That's exactly how detecting genes work. You can detect a gene from
also
a baby.
The fact that they've detected this gene a long time ago, but they're only starting to discover and work on it in the past 4 years, but they've been working on the project for 15 years.
Oh, no. They discovered it a while ago, but only recently they've been finding more and more of the gene.
Yeah, it's all over the place with the science.
Oh yeah.
Now the idea of moving them all to the same town.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant evil science move.
Oh yeah, because then especially if it's away from everywhere. Oh no, especially if it's in the same facility.
It's all one town. It's a town.
Yep, and like, we're having a meeting for all the parents to discuss stuff.
Whoa.
Oh no, they're gone. I guess we have control. Good thing it says in the fine print that we get control.
That we now own these children.
We're the guardians of these children.
No, not guardians, owners.
Owners of these children.
Like, wow. That got dark real quickly.
But no, can you tell that I cut to 2 years later so I don't have to explain any of the science or anything?
Brilliant move, because it's really from John's point of view. You're telling John's story, and it's like that was when John went along with Alexia's decision.
Yep.
And he was like, all right, to advance science, I'll let it happen. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, now they're going too far.
Yep. Oh, I have here...
And this random guy who kind of broke into my house,
I
now totally believe him.
So I have this thing here, proving superpowers without any actual superpowers.
That's the other...
Because we've been confirmed so far in the novel, Skyler's the only person that we know about that has activated his superpower, the gene, and has the powers. So, I'll prove it. This will happen. This could happen. How?
Yeah,
apparently he proved something, or the money talked enough to get John to go, okay, it's just blood.
I think that there should be a program that already exists of these beings, of these, people with abilities, and that they're used as private contractors in military stuff because the United States government can't have superpowers, then everyone else is going to try. So instead they're super covert and they're a private organization.
If I was to rewrite this, I would probably change that. Something like that.
I mean, there you could tie it into, I don't know, another storybook, another story that you have going on of people with immortal abilities.
I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I want to do that? That sounds stupid.
You like to tag all of your books in together.
That is a stupid idea. No, why would I ever want to do that? But yeah, the fact that I still love that fact. I actually thought about if I was to rewrite this, that
at this point it's more of a when.
No, I don't think so. But it would be part of Skyler's journey before meeting up with maybe finding another society or something like that.
Yeah.
People who've activated the gene or something like that. But who knows? But then I do love this part about when we finally get to the end where Alexia planned to move them with no notice or any packing before they're supposed to show up.
Well, she hadn't gotten home yet.
Oh, no. This made it sound like she already agreed before that. Confirming with them was the conversation, but she already beforehand agreed because they would have to plan to come out to.
Well, yeah, they were going to come out the next day to help them pack up and move.
Yeah, but no, that's a lot of packing.
Maybe they said that everything will be provided once you get there.
Yeah,
one of those promises that there's way too much money involved, and then the moment that they get there, they're separated from Jenna permanently,
or something,
and they can't leave the town.
But it's one
because
of those
it's
things,
actually a prison.
It's implied that that they're probably gonna pay for anything, but still the fact that they're coming and there's nothing you didn't tell. What about John's job? How is he gonna?
Well, also I like the idea that this evil corporation organization would go so far as to offer somebody enough money that they'd be willing to drop it all tomorrow.
Yes. Well, again, I think the idea was more of she's been talking about this, and they offered this a while, and she's been like, okay, I gotta work with this into talking to, and it got to the point where she's like,
I'm not saying anything.
I'll spring it on the last minute before, and I'll be able to talk him into going because it's all this.
Yeah. A worst case scenario, he decides no, and whatever, he can have the house.
Or worst case scenario, if he's he can't get out of his job or anything, maybe he can stay there while he sells the house.
Yeah.
I'll take Jenna down there and everything.
Exactly.
But I do like the last minute moment, the last possible moment. I give motivation to why Alexia wants to do this. She is poor. And now she's getting lots of money and she's that was her one thing she always wanted, and now she has that opportunity, and she doesn't care if it means selling her daughter out.
In my head, it's a John and Alexia's house is actually a really awesome log cabin. It's rustic, but it's got that wonderful back porch. It's kind of an open concept in the back of it, but rooms are also closed off pretty well.
I do find it funny that John is convinced by Jing.
Yeah, who basically breaks into his house.
Yep, and doesn't actually give him any proof of anything.
No credentials, no proof. No, I used to work with the guys who were going to do this. Okay.
Apparently he did give him something, but again, cut it off because I had no idea how to convince him this was going to happen. I love how I gave them that giant folder.
With one piece of paper, that was it.
And it's a one piece of paper. Apparently, they didn't want to come up with all that stuff. So that's what I think I remember for a fact. I had no clue with the science or how to talk about this shit. I'm pantsing it. But I don't want to talk about. We'll just cut to him and deciding.
But it's a cool idea. So that way, in the next draft, if you will, you can expand upon that or decide, no, I'm never going to explain the science of this.
Yeah.
And just kind of skip over that and concentrate more on them just being the evil bad guys.
Yeah, something
they
like
do
that.
evil bad guy science. And, like, they take blood and discover stuff and try to unlock powers.
But, yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the first look at the people behind the kidnappings in a sense that will lead to at least how
I like the fact that in my head those scientists are all about the science. They don't care what the rest of the organization. They really just want to discover the science of it. And they get used by a corporation.
Or do they?
Or do they?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Again, read through the rest of it.
I know.
And it gets weird.
Oh, good.
So,
good. We're going to get weird.
Wait until we pick up back up with Skyler.
Yeah, I did see that's going to be like in 3 chapters.
Yep. And it's not, it's like 2 weeks later, too.
Jeez.
So, but there's no actually 2 weeks later.
No. We just
explain.
pick up because he doesn't know when it is. He's been trapped.
Or has he?
Or has he?
Or is he on the run and he can't get in contact with Jing?
He can't even look at his watch to know what day it is.
Or can he?
Or can he?
Yeah.
You're going to have to tune in to find out. Wait, wrong catchphrase.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But is there anything else you want to bring up on this chapter?
No, not really.
But
not really. It's been a good chapter.
Yeah, it was a good chapter. It gave some fleshing out something, a little bit, the antagonistic force that is behind this without giving us a lot of details about that.
There's still basically, the shadowy corporate board in the background.
There's no shadowy corporate board, Adam.
Yeah, there always is a shadowy corporate board.
Sorry, wrong show again.
Wrong show again.
Wrong show.
That's on ZOP Gaming.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday and Friday evening.
No, that would be something else because there's no shadowy corporate board and that's to be right.
Oh yeah, that's on Sundays with Omega Championship Wrestling.
No, this only has to be wrestling on ZOP Gaming. Anyway, Adam, if you don't want add anything else to this conversation, let's wrap this thing up. I hope you're enjoying the story as it is, regardless of the horrible writing of the first draft. If you did get this far, I'm assuming you did, so why not give it a thumbs up as a prayer to the holy algorithm. And subscribe because I have running content on here that I think is helpful. So speaking of that stuff, I'll put stuff on the screen next. The playlist for the rest of the Skyler Grant episodes, so in case you haven't listened to that yet. And another video that I think that might help you out. Pick your choose. We'll see you in whatever you pick. Thank you so much for listening. Bye!